Thank you very much. I'd like to think you were applauding for me, and I know that's not true. You were applauding for that video, and what a great job they did. I really want to thank the folks who put that together, and also comment that you have taken every single thing I was going to say and put it on that video, so I have nothing left to tell you, which is not true. This thing is set for 90 minutes. I'm going to take every last minute of it. I've got over 70 slides. Dr. Kelleher, I'm not joking. I really do have over 70 slides. Well, we're going to get through them really quick, especially since you've already seen the great stuff that we've got going on here. But no, thank you so much for being here this afternoon. I have to start with an apology. I really am sorry that you happen to be in here listening to me instead of being outside. It's a spectacular day outside. I wish I could find some way to do this outside. But then none of you would stay to listen to it. So you're stuck in here with me for the next, how long? 90 minutes, right? That's what it says. 90 minutes. Okay, that's right. But no, seriously, thank you for being here. And appreciate the staff appreciation event that our staff council put on. What a great way to say thank you for the many folks to do all the things, the great things here. And I'm going to have the opportunity, hopefully, to tell you a little bit about what has gone on at this university, in case you haven't been knowing what's been going on for the last year. So again, I've asked Russell Keene to go outside and take all the names of the people who are still out there not coming in here. So you'll be, if you're in here, you're okay. If you're not, you'll be getting a note from me about that pretty soon. So let's talk a little bit about the past and kind of an overview of the year. This really has been an incredible year for a lot of reasons, and a lot of good reasons that we'll talk about. And spend just a moment on the present, and hopefully set the stage for what the future looks like at this university, because I'm incredibly excited about what our future looks like, and I hope that you are too. And if you're not excited, you're free to go somewhere else. I mean, I just don't know how to say it than that, but I know you'll be excited, so let's see where we go from here. As you know, we have a new strategic plan. It's called Creating a Legacy Like No Other. It covers a lot of aspects that you might think you would typically see in a strategic plan, but when I told the folks when we started this process, don't do the ordinary. You've heard me say this. I always felt that strategic plans are a huge waste of time. And I mean that sincerely, because mostly, every place I've ever been, you come up with this wonderful document, you wordsmith it to death, you stick it on the shelf for 5 years, you pull it out, you throw it away, and you start all over again. And nothing really changes in the institution because of it. But I really do believe this one's different. And it's different for a lot of reasons. Yes, we're going to be covering the things you'd expect us to cover at a university: learning and community and student success and stewardship and discovery. And we have 3 interwoven priorities that were so important in and of themselves. They touch everything that we do. We didn't single them out as a strategic priority, because all of these things are priorities for us in everything that we do: innovation, engagement, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm going to focus on the innovation piece towards the end of this talk, because I really do believe that's going to be one of the things that's going to set us apart from everyone else that is also in the process of doing strategic plans and trying to recruit students and do research and do all the great things we do here. And then there are several aspirational imperatives. 16,000 by the year 2030, or 16 by 30, and I can't thank you all enough for embracing that concept. That just sort of happened. I mean, I was at a town hall very similar to this, and I made the comment, and this is, gosh, it's probably been like 5 or 6 years ago. I said, wouldn't it be cool to let's really focus on growth? And I think we ought to be able to at least get to 16,000 students. That's about what I think the capacity we have here from a growth point of view, with some exceptions, of course. And, we got to set a date, so by the year 2030, we ought to be able to get to 16,000 students, and it just took off from there. And much to your credit, and much thanks to all of you for doing that, because you have all gotten behind this concept of 16 by 30 and what it means. It's not so important that we hit the 16,000 number of students, but what is important is that we stay focused on getting there. It's all about the journey, folks. It's all about the race. It's not crossing the finish line. It's making sure we're moving forward and we're doing all the things we need to do to make us the institution that can accept those number of students and keep them here. And that's what really excites me about that. And then the other 2 aspirational imperatives, of course, is top 60 of NIH funding by the year 2030 as well, or 60 by 30. That's going to help us focus on our research initiatives. And then the Carnegie Community Engagement Classification by the year 2026 is hugely important because of geography. And much more than that, but it is because of geography. We are in the city of Augusta. Augusta is very important to us, and as we move forward as a university, the city of Augusta moves forward, and as Augusta moves forward as a community, as to where we live, then the university moves forward too. So all these imperatives are hugely important in what we do. You'll be hearing more about the overview of the first year of our strategic plan coming up very soon, so stay tuned for that. And all the things I want to be talking about today certainly do fit into that. We've got a couple of new hires, and there are a lot of new hires here, I know, but a couple I just want to mention. You've already seen these from the video. Ryan Erdak, I'm not sure if he's in the audience today or not, but new director of athletics. He's already done an incredible job of really focusing our attention on athletics. And if you have not been to a sporting event here as part of your university, you really owe it to yourself to do. I don't care which sporting event you like or have a passion for, whatever. We got some great athletics here, and our student athletes are some of the best I've ever been around. And Ryan's going to do a great job of really elevating that experience for our fans, for our students, but also for the folk here at Augusta University. And then you know that we have a new school of public health, a brand new school that Provost McKinnon has spearheaded. And a great thanks to Neil, all the wonderful work he's done. And he's not just creating something to create something. It's creating a school de novo of what's already here. And thanks to all the deans who have been willing to work together to make this happen. That shows a real sort of camaraderie of collegialness that I don't think I've ever seen before, sir. I really appreciate you doing that. And we now have the inaugural dean, Dr. Teresa Waters, who will start in August, I believe. Neil, is that correct? Yes, August. She's going to do a fantastic job and has already been on campus, already embracing the campus here to get this school off the ground. So great things will come from this down the road, as we know. We also have some changes in two other colleges, the Hall College of Business. Dean Francis stepped down from that. We appreciate the great work he's done over the years, and Mark Thompson has agreed to step in as the interim dean, where the search is underway, a national search for Dean Francis' replacement. And Dean Carol Lefebvre in the dental school has retired, and Nancy Young has stepped in as the interim dean there, and we really appreciate her work there. And we already have a search committee well underway. We've got some finalists, I think, Neil identified, that'll be coming to campus here pretty soon. And so a lot of great things are going to be happening in those two colleges for us as well. This is the end of the legislative session. It ended the end of March. And this is important because it has a lot to do with our finances here, clearly. This is without question the most interesting session that I've been associated with, and Russell King tells me it's the most interesting session he's been associated with in his career, and that goes back some years. And interesting is a polite word when you can't really come up with the right words you need to come to describe it. You know what I mean? It has been interesting, I'll tell you that. And there's some good news and some bad news that has come out of this session. We always have a lot of good news. Sometimes there's an occasional piece of bad news, but this particular session, some good news and some bad news. First, the good news, and thanks to all of our General Assembly colleagues, the amended budget, which is actually started in this past January, the fiscal year we're currently in, Georgia lawmakers passed a budget of $105 million for the Medical College of Georgia to implement a new electronic medical records. And this is going to completely transform not only the way in which we treat patients, but the way in which we train the students in the future to treat patients. They're now going to have the opportunity to learn on an up-to-date, state-of-the-art electronic medical record system. That's the heart and soul of the business of a hospital, and we're really excited about that. And I want to especially give a shout-out to Governor Brian Kemp. Regardless of your political persuasions, it's not important. He's done a marvelous job for us here at Augusta University, going all the way back to the days of COVID in his first term, and he was very, very supportive in getting this $105 million across the line, and we certainly thank him for his support. So that's the good news. Well, there's also some bad news associated with that, coming really primarily out of the Senate. The budget that was passed had a $66 million cut to the university system. And as you see, the chancellor's comments here, incredibly disappointing is probably the best way that I think any of us could describe that. I want to quickly point out that the chancellor's picture associated with bad news, please don't get, that's not the impression I'm trying to give. He has fought tooth and nail and tremendously to get not only the $105 million that we needed for the health system, but also to try to keep this budget from passing. And much to his credit, there is already talk. In fact, he said he's had conversations with the governor. We expect, we hope that the $66 million will be restored in the next amended budget, which will be in January. We can't definitely plan on that until it happens, but the chancellor has been fighting for us every day on this, and I really want to publicly thank him for the great work he's done there too, in the face of a very disappointing budget. To put a finer point on that, that $66 million was passed on to all the other campuses in the system, the 26 campuses. Our cut was about 16% of that, or $10 million. So we suffered a $10 million cut this budget cycle. The good news is, associated with that, is because we've had an increase in enrollment, I'll be talking more about that, the system office will transfer $8.9 million in earnings because of an increase we've had in enrollment. But it still leaves a hole of $1.4 million that we've got to fill. Yvonne Turner and her staff and Russell Keene and the provost are already in the process of trying to determine how we can make up that 1.4. The budget cuts are never fun, but you all have done such a great job here of positioning us to where we feel good about being able to absorb this. And we will absorb this, and we'll wait to see what happens in January. In addition to that, we also had a little over, or close to $2 million of funding that came primarily out of the great work of the new Speaker of the House, John Burns, shown here with Russell and myself, a great friend of ours and a great friend to the university system and to us, to fund another 4-year partnership campus in the Medical College of Georgia. As you probably know, we have a 4-year partnership campus in Athens now. It's the MCG campus, but it's located in Athens, and the students could do all 4 years there. We're going to be creating one in Savannah as well at the Armstrong campus of Georgia Southern University. And we're really, really excited about this. This will allow us to increase our medical class from 264 to 364, so 40 students coming into that. We're right now at 264, about the 8th largest medical school. When we add these students, that should put us somewhere around the 4th or 5th largest medical school in the country. Now let that sink in just a minute. We already have the 9th largest medical school here at MCG. This will take us to probably the 4th or 5th largest. And it's the opportunity to take advantage of partners like we have at Georgia Southern and University of Georgia and branch campuses like we have at St. Joe Candler and Savannah that will allow us to do this. So the purpose is not just to get bigger for the sake of getting bigger, but the purpose is just to get bigger so we can provide more doctors that hopefully will stay in Georgia. So we're really, really excited what this is going to do for the medical college. Even in the face of budgetary uncertainty, we have been making what I think is truly life-altering strategic investments into the university. I typically like to show this pie chart. I've done it in the last couple of town halls to illustrate how we spend our money, and they're broken down into 3 primary areas: academic support, student support in the blue, and this past fiscal year we have funded nearly $22 million, or 62% of the funding has been in that area. And these are things like athletic support, AU Online, the animation lab that I'll talk more about in a few minutes, GRA stipends, which we've increased, our graduate students, library subscriptions, etc. The second part of that chart is in red, and that's institutional support. And this is some realignment and shared services and vehicle replacements, more towards marketing, so we can market the great things that we do here to try to encourage more students to come. More Wi-Fi upgrades and cybersecurity and facility improvements, about $9.2 million, or about 26%. And then the last is green and research. We always want to focus on research, that being one of our primary missions. $4 million, about 12% of research commitments, CB building repairs, which I'll touch on again in a minute, and some equipment, research equipment and furniture for research. So all total, about $35 million of investment spread across the entire campus. And to put this in perspective for the last 3 years, I'm showing you this chart. The larger pie graph on the right is the cumulative for FY21 to 23, a 3-year investment of totaling $110 million. That's a heck of a lot of money we've been able to put back into the campus, with $45 million of it going towards the academic student support, $43 million going towards research, and $22 million going towards institutional. And then I've shown you how we sort of broken that out in fiscal year 21, 22, and the last information I showed you in 23. So we're making significant investments back into the campus in all areas that allow us to do the things that we need to do. It's never enough. We know that. We know there are other priorities we need to be focusing on. But this hopefully will give you a feeling that we're paying attention to the things that you point out we need, and we're trying to address those issues. And the only reason we've been able to do this is, again, you can hear me say it over and over, it's the great work that you all have done to make sure we have an increase in enrollment. That's the state side. We also have some congressionally directed spending. We've been very successful in doing that. The old term is earmarks. I'm told you don't say that word anymore. It's now congressionally directed spending, but it's essentially what we used to call earmarks. U.S. Representative Buddy Carter was on campus just a couple weeks ago. He was able to secure $1 million for us, and as it helps to support MCG Center for Telehealth. That we have the most incredible telehealth program of any state in the country in terms of reaching out into the rural areas of the state, the rural hospitals in the state primarily. He's provided this funding, which will help us not only expand that, but help us begin to train medical students on telehealth. Our medical students get the type of training that you'd expect in the clinics and the hospitals, but we're also teaching them how to do telehealth as a medical student. So when they get out and start practicing 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now, they're going to be well ahead of the curve in terms of where the field is going. And thanks to Representative Carter for that. We also had Representative Sanford Bishop gave $2 million or through congressionally directed spending to fund the growth of the Southwest campus of the Medical College of Georgia, primarily to establish a primary training hub to try to encourage kids, especially in the areas of rural Georgia, specifically in Southwest Georgia, encourage them to go to medical school, become doctors, go practice back in those areas where we really need doctors the most. This state is one of the sickest states in the country, and I mean that literally. We're ranked about 40th in just about every health indices you can think of. If you're in Atlanta, you don't see it, but if you're in the other Georgia, you don't have to go very far to see it in big sort of ways. 9 counties without any physician whatsoever, and many of that is located in rural Georgia. We've got to do something as the state's only public academic medical center to address the health disparities and the health outcomes in rural and underserved Georgia. And we're fully committed to doing that. And this earmark will help significantly along those lines. And U.S. Senator Ralph Warnock was able to help us secure $2.7 million for our public safety department here to increase some of their equipment and surveillance equipment, and $1.1 million for AU Medical Center equipment, such as defibrillators, anesthesia machines, and those sorts of things. And we're very, very grateful for all our congressional support, totaling just north of $6.8 million. And a lot of credit goes to Russell Keene and his folks in government relations for doing this. Monty Philpott is stationed in Washington full time, and she's been there a long time. She knows how this sort of a game is played, and we really appreciate all the great work she's done to secure this funding. She's also worked very, very closely with Congressman Rick Allen's office, and Congressman Allen has been tremendously supportive to us in a whole slew of ways, including helping us with some very significant visa issues to make sure that our foreign medical trained individuals and foreign folks can come here and be trained in medicine and other things. We're grateful for Congressman Allen's support as well. Philanthropy, real quick, you probably may not know, we're in what's called the silent phase of a 7-year capital campaign, and since the launch of that silent phase in fiscal year 20, we've had 91 endowed scholarships that have been funded, totaling $27.5 million. Of that $27.5 million, $11.9 million of it has been designated for needs-based scholarships. We're fortunate in the state of Georgia to have the Hope Scholarship here, though that's sort of based off of students maintaining a certain grade point average. We need to be focused also on needs-based scholarships. We have so many students that are in their final year of school here and have to drop out because they're several $100s, not several thousand, several $100s short of paying their tuition. We can't let that happen, because once those students have to drop out, it's incredibly difficult for them to come back. Needs-based scholarships is going to allow us to fill that gap and keep these students here so they can graduate and go on to be productive members of society. So we really appreciate all of our donors. Another 19 academic program endowments have been established and 5 endowed chairs and professorships established. As I say, the silent phase of the campaign, we hopefully will be announcing the more public phase of this in the coming months to years. So stay tuned, and we're really excited about the great work our philanthropy folks are doing. A couple of capital project updates. We've had some ribbon cuttings. Ribbon cuttings are always exciting. This is the ribbon cutting for the Literacy Center, which is located at the Hub in conjunction with funding that the Augusta National has given us. We're really excited about that. We've had a Literacy Center here. There's a rich history of literacy training here at Augusta University, and goes back many years, and this is really state-of-the-art facility now, located right in the heart of the neighborhood, some of the neighborhoods that need it the most. And we really, really appreciate, especially to our School of College of Education, Human Development, for making this possible. We just had a major revampment of the Greenblatt Library with a major entrance, and inside we had a ribbon cutting to celebrate that. I mean, you can tell how excited this is. I mean, Provost McKinnon either just got electrocuted or stunned, or he just can't help himself. So, but it was great to have the chance to hear as well, to participate in that, and again, he's just been tremendously supportive, and we always make sure that Neil's at every ribbon cutting from now on, because he adds a lot of jazz to it that we wouldn't ordinarily have. And okay, I'm gonna stop right here. I can't see everybody. How many of you understand the reference to Yes, Virginia here? Okay. Those of you who don't, Google it. Okay, Russell King was in my office a little while ago going, he said, what, who's Virginia? I said, you're serious? He said, yes. Okay, so yes, Virginia, there will be a parking deck. I can promise you that. This is the rendering of that parking deck. See, you still don't know who the heck we're talking about. Go look it up. Google it. Don't Google it now. You're supposed to be in here. I wasn't around in 1897. I didn't see the editorial when it first came out, I promise you. But the Medical College of Georgia was, and I bet some of those old people still remember that. Yes, we're all going to have a parking deck. We anticipate that at the August 2023 meeting, we'll get the final Board of Regents approval for that in September. We hope to have the bonds issued to make that happen. This is September this year, folks, not next decade. This year, November, Georgia Power will start removing some of the lights in the parking lot there, which is where this is going to go. So you start seeing some activity, and then construction will start in January, with the project being completed in the spring of 2025. And I want to thank Yvonne Turner. She has spent, I don't know how many countless hours and sleepless nights trying to get this darn parking deck over the finish line. I think we're finally there. So, and I appreciate all of your patience as well. Much needed especially for the Health Sciences campus. And for those of you who don't know where this is going to go, this is a sort of a map of the Health Sciences campus. If you look in that bottom corner there, the red area, that outline there, that's currently a surface parking lot. That's just past, behind the Elm dormitory, and that's where the parking deck is going to go. So much needed support for the Health Sciences campus, and again, I appreciate the great support Yvonne's given in our system offices. We've really been working diligently with us to try to make this happen. So y'all all come to the ribbon cutting coming up. And one of the most exciting things that's ever happened, if you don't believe me, just talk to Michael Castor. He'll tell you all about it. We have now a new data center that Mike will be open in August? August. Next August, yeah, next August. Tremendously needed, as some of you may know, that the data center currently is in the basement of the annex, and every time it rains, we all have a lot of sleepless nights. You don't want your data center to get rained out. That's not a good thing. But this is going to give a state-of-the-art data center. We're really excited about what that's going to do for our campus and give us plenty of expansion room moving forward as well. Carnegie Community Engagement is a significant part of our strategic plan, as you know. And just a couple quick examples. Our AU medical illustration students have been helping with the Finney Swamp collaboration and doing some of the great work that they do there with them as part of this community outreach. And our College of Education Human Development partnered with the Lucy Craft Laney Museum of Black History recently to celebrate that wonderful place in the community. And again, just two quick examples of some of the things that we do in the community all the time that often goes unnoticed, but it's so hugely important for us to have a successful university and a successful community in which we live. Research clearly is a key component to what we do. You know that. As you see, we've made a good deal of investments in research. It is part of our master plan in the 16 by 30. We want to get to be ranked among the top 60 medical students in terms of funding by the year 2030. Our indirect cost recoveries, which is one metric you can use for research productivity, has been increasing over the years. You see FY22 was a slight downturn, but I'm told it should be increased this year. We won't know those numbers until the end of June, of course, but our researchers are doing an incredible job, especially coming out of all the delays and things they had during COVID. But this is one of the biggest stumbling blocks we have on campus right now, and it's called the Standards Building. Or for those of you who understand what those two letters mean, I don't understand what any of them mean. This is the CB building. I don't know who came up with CB. It has no relation to what the building's called, but at any rate, this is the Standards Building. All you have to do is look at those cars parked at the Standards Building to get an idea when this thing was constructed. This was not new. This was an old building when I was a graduate student here. That should tell you something. 1897 is a long time ago, folks, I'm telling you. Most of our PIs in this building was constructed around the 1970s. It was not designed for modern research. We have no swing space. We are in desperate need of new research space, and we are working as hard as we possibly can to try to make this happen. We know there's a lot of issues with the Sanders building, you can't expect to grow research if you don't have the proper facilities in which to do it. So we know this, we're working on it. Please be patient with us. We're going to do everything we can to try to make sure that we have the proper facility we need down the road to meet our research needs. If anybody in this room has never heard this, then you're either brand new or you ought to be ashamed, one or the other. We have one priority at Augusta University, and that's our students and our patients. And everything we do here is focused around providing the most high-quality patient care we possibly can and the most outstanding state-of-the-art education training for our students that we possibly can as well. Everything we do focuses around that, and I'm really excited that you also have all embraced that as well. Let's talk about the patient part of this first. As you probably know, we're in the process of establishing a partnership with our health system, or with Wellstar Health System in the state. The end of December, we signed a letter of intent. Just at the end of March, first part of April, we submitted what's called definitive agreements. These are all the documents to the Attorney General. It's being reviewed now. That's the standard process that you go through. We anticipate that review will go without any issues, and hopefully we'll be able to close the deal sometime in the middle of the summer. So why did we choose Wellstar? Well, we chose Wellstar through a very, very long, drawn-out, competitive process in which we invited a whole number of health systems to come to the table to see if they wanted to partner with us. Wellstar happened to be the one that rose to the top, and it did for a lot of reasons. Has to do with culture. You've probably heard the expression, organizational culture eats strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that really is. You can have all the strategy in the world, including strategic plans, if you don't have the culture that supports that, you might as well just start over. And WellStar meets our culture as well or better than any health system I've been associated with. On the one hand, they are experts at creating what's called health parks. These are like outpatient hospitals, if you will, where one-stop shopping. You can go to one location and get everything you need done right there in a convenient environment. They also have what's called a clinically integrated network, which is going to allow us to extend our physicians' reach and to physicians across and patients across the entire state of Georgia. And they are known for being a culture of treating people first. In fact, they call it themselves not health care, but people care. And it's not just the patients they treat, but it's the folk that work for them too. In addition to that, they have a very large hospital in Atlanta called Keystone, and we have been working with them for some time now to create another branch campus for the medical school. They've agreed to do this as part of this partnership deal, and so within the next 2 or 3 years, we'll have a branch campus where we can formally send medical students there in Keystone to get their training. This is the first time we've had really a formal, or we'll have a formal location in Atlanta to do this training, and it's really going to help us tremendously with the numbers of increasing students that we have. All this together, you can see the purple triangle, the purple star sort of up in the upper part of the state is where WellStar currently has a footprint, and you can see we don't. We've got branch campuses in Savannah, Brunswick, Albany, and Rome. We're going to be opening one up in Dalton. We've got a partnership campus in Athens, and we'll have one in Savannah. But WellStar helps us fill that gap. It allows us to really take our footprint and make it the entire state of Georgia. We said all along that Georgia is our campus for the Medical College of Georgia primarily. And this partnership is really going to help us speed that up and expand that in very significant ways. There's a real commitment between WellStar and us to improve the health of all Georgians, not just the Georgians that happen to live in the CSRA. And they're going to be bringing something called EPIC. And for those of you who are part of the health system, this should be a tearful, joyful experience for you. Our electronic medical records system we currently have is antiquated. As I said at the outset, it does not allow us to provide the type of training our medical students need. It doesn't allow us to bill properly. If I ask for a show of hands, how many of you go to a health system and have been turned over to a collection agency, you'll probably get half of you to raise your hand. It's embarrassing. Those are the kind of things you're going to be fixing with just this one thing alone. So it's going to have a tremendous impact on us. So the marriage of WellStar and AU Health System and the opportunity to partner with them in conjunction with the Medical College of Georgia is going to be a game changer for us. And we're really, really excited about what that's going to do for us here in the community, but also throughout the entire state of Georgia. Enrollment. As I said, I'll be coming back to this, and I am really excited about this 16 by 30. And again, for all the reasons that I just mentioned, we're singularly focused on that. And if you look at this graph, starting going back to 2010, all the way up to fall of 2022, you see how our enrollment for the first 5 or 6 years of this, more than a decade now, there was a year-over-year decrease in enrollment of 3.2%. It plummeted all the way down to 2015. At 2015, things turned around. I'd like to think that's because you had a new president that came to town at that time. I wish I could take the credit for it. I really do. It's all of you and the great folks that work in Susan Davies' office, and that we did begin to turn that around. And for the next, 2, 4, 6, 7 years, I guess it has been, 7 years, we have had a 2.3% increase year over year in enrollment. And that, folks, is truly phenomenal. It says so much about the great work that you do, but it speaks even louder about the reputation of this institution and how folks across the entire state of Georgia now view Augusta University where they didn't view us like this before. Students are coming here because of that reputation, and that's all because of the great work that you do. Let me put this in real perspective for you. We're one of 26 campuses throughout the entire university system of Georgia. That includes everything from a small Georgia Southwestern State College all the way up to the mammoth Georgia Tech, University of Georgia, 26 campuses. This shows you the percent change in enrollment from 2021 fall to 2022, percent change. So if it's green, you had a percent increase in enrollment during this past year. If it's red, you had a percent decrease in enrollment. And I've got it broken down by research universities, comprehensive state universities, and state colleges. There were only 8 institutions out of all 26 this past fall that had an increase in enrollment compared to the previous fall. Only 8, and we're one of them. In fact, if you look at the percent change, with the exception of Georgia Tech, we had the largest percent increase of any institution in the state. And the only reason Georgia Tech beat us is because they have a massive online master's degree program in computer science. It's been incredibly successful. They've got some 10,000 students in that one course alone, that one program alone. So when we talk about enrollment, it matters. It matters because that's what we do in the education business. So I guess it sounds kind of silly that a president would say enrollment matters. But it matters in terms of providing the resources we need to do the great things that we do here. It matters tremendously. And for us to be able to hold our head up and say we've had an increase in enrollment every year since 2015 is phenomenal. The year before this, there was only 5 institutions that had an increase in enrollment, and we were one of them. So the system office looks at this. The chancellor really looks at this as you'd expect them to. And you can see there's some significant issues that we as a state are going to have to deal with because of enrollment. One way we can meet sort of our enrollment needs and also meet our Carnegie classification needs is through strategic partnerships. We can't do this alone. We've had a lot of great things. You saw some of this on the video. I won't belabor it, but we just signed an MOU with Columbia County Schools. In fact, I had the opportunity to speak to their Board of Education just last night about a dual enrollment program. We now are teaching AU courses in every single, or will be by the fall, forgive me, in every single high school in Columbia County. All 5 high schools in Columbia County will have a Augusta University course taught that high school students can enroll in and get college credit for, and then that credit can be transferred to any institution in the state of Georgia that they wish to transfer to. We hope they'll all come to see us, but the important thing is we're giving these kids a true head start, and we're really, really excited about what this presents for us. Provost McKinnon had an opportunity to sign an MOU with the Associate Laboratory Director, Dr. Tammy Taylor, at Savannah River National Lab to increase global security research and workforce development there. We've always had a great relationship with SRNL. They played such a huge part of our community. And this MOU, this partnership is really going to help, I think, put that on a significant path forward as well. And you saw the unveiling of Augusta Advantage. This is an MOU relationship we've established with Augusta Technical College. Their president, Jermaine World, I cannot keep up with him. I've never seen anybody that runs as fast as he does. He's doing a fabulous job there. And he was really, really dedicated to get together with us so we can have articulation agreements. So those students that go there and get an associate's degree can seamlessly transfer those credits to Augusta University if they so choose, in a variety of areas, not just cybersecurity, and go on all the way to the PhD if they choose. So this is going to be good for us. It's going to be good for Augusta Tech. It's going to be really good for the city of Augusta as well. Not too terribly long ago, we signed an MOU with Fort Gordon and the Army Cyber Center of Excellence there to create the university's first fully online graduate degree programs and expand educational opportunities for our service members and their family members. And this is hugely important for a whole plethora of reasons. We've always been a very military-friendly town. It's in our DNA. We've always had great relationships with Fort Gordon, but this is really going to help us maintain contact with those service members and their family members so that when they come here, they can take AU courses, they can transfer their military credits to us, get degrees here, but when they leave, they can still maintain a relationship because of an online presence. So we're really, really excited about what this is going to do. And we've had 4 new degrees since the last town hall, a new Master of Health Science in Speech Language Pathology. And again, much of the credit to Neil McKinnon. He kind of looked around and said, why don't we have speech pathology here? I mean, you would think for the same reasons you don't have public health, you have a speech language pathology. So that degree is now approved, and we're beginning to enroll the first class in fall of 2025. We have a bachelor's in biomedical systems engineering. We're going to be developing more and more engineering programs in conjunction with our School of Computer and Cyber Sciences. Really excited about that. You probably know we have the only engineering and cybersecurity engineering program in the southeastern United States. And we now have a PhD program approved in that school. That school alone has doubled in enrollment since it was created just 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So Denise Washington doing a fabulous job there. We even now have a biomedical systems engineering. Bachelor of Science in Neuroscience. We have such strong neuroscience programs here, especially clinically. This just made perfect sense for undergraduates, and they'll be starting that to first class in fall 23. And the new Bachelor of Arts in Sports Management. And I was told, this just got approved this past Regents meeting last week, and I was told by the Regents system office it was brilliant that we got in sports management, not a Bachelor of Science. That helps us be unique, stands us apart, which I'll get to in a minute. It's hugely important. So we're going to do the typical type of degrees that any institution needs and you'd expect us to do, but those things that make us unique, that students can't get anywhere else but here, and that's what's going to help us continue the trajectory in terms of enrollment. Augusta University online just started at March the 1st. Mark Austin, the new dean of Augusta University Online, is going to take that to fantastic levels. So it is now operational, and we have 3 degrees programs that have already been rolled out: a Master's of Public Health, a new School of Public Health, a Master's of Science in Information Security Management out of Computer and Cyber Sciences, and a Master's of Education with a major in Instruction out of Education and Human Development. And there are 25 programs planned for the next 5 years. So we're just getting started with this, but this is also going to help us do something unique, meet the needs of students in a very unique way, and I can't wait to see where this is going to go. I'm going to talk just very briefly about Augusta Athletics. I mentioned to you at the outset, but our athletic programs have just really been doing an incredible job. Our ladies volleyball team were the 2022 regular season champions. This is the end of last calendar year. Our men's cross-country team won the Peach Belt cross-country championship the end of last year. There we go. Our men's basketball team have had 2 incredible years. As you know, last season, they went all the way to the NCAA final game and lost a heartbreaker in the final game for the NCAA championship. This year, they won the Peach Belt Conference again, and our golf teams have also been doing incredibly well. You probably know we have 2 Division I teams here, men's golf and women's golf, and the other programs have a Division II. Our men's team won the Southland Conference Championship and played in the regionals just this past couple of weeks. And our ladies team also won the Southland Conference Championship, and they went all the way to the NCAA finals. Did a heck of a job there. First time in program history for those young ladies to go to an NCAA final. I'm really proud of them. And one of their players, Mirabelle Ting, was elected, if you will, or appointed the Golfer of the Year in the Southland Conference. She's a freshman. Did you hear that? She's a freshman. And she's already ranked like within the top 5 in the country. I can't wait to see what this outstanding student athlete is going to do here over the next several years. Student athletes performing on the field is important. We know that, but this is what it's really all about. Getting a degree. That's what it all should be about. This is Kennedy Manning. This past December, she was on our women's basketball team, and unfortunately, there was a scheduling conflict where she had to play a game and couldn't walk during commencement, so we brought commencement to her. Standing with me is the First Lady. Isn't she gorgeous? First Lady of Augusta University. She's my wife, so I can say that. Thank you. She's also wicked smart. I don't know why she's standing next to me, but at any rate, First Lady Tammy Shalou, and then our faculty athletics representative, David Hunt. We got full regalia and presented her degree to her there in front of her teammates at Christenberry. It was a really cool experience for us, and hopefully it was meaningful for her as well. And then Tyshawn Crawford walked across the stage. This is not photoshopped, folks. That is one tall man, I'll tell you what. What a great young man he is, and he walked across the stage to get his degree as well, and that's what it's really all about. So when you come out to support our student athletes, you're not just supporting the athlete, you're supporting the student too. So please make plans to try to do that. We're laser focused on enrollment. You've heard me say it I don't know how many times. You hear me continue to say it every single chance I get, and it's important. We've had an 18% overall increase since 2015. That's hugely important. I think you've seen the impact that that's made already. But there's something called an enrollment cliff that we're right on the precipice of. And I don't mean just we, the entire country. We know this because you can look at birth rates. There just aren't enough 18-year-olds anymore. I mean, they're graduating from high school. Enrollment is going to really start going down across the country. It already is beginning to be a huge problem, as you saw for some of our sister colleagues across the state. So how do we deal with this? How do we as an institution deal with this enrollment cliff? We've got to stand out from the pack. You've probably seen this slide before, but I love it because I think it really illustrates what we have to do if we're going to not only be successful as an educational institution, but if we're going to be successful as an institution, period. We've got to stand out from the pack. We've got to take advantage of the unique things that we currently have, and how can we build on those unique things to make us stand out from everybody else. And one way we can do that is through innovation. And as you saw, innovation is one of those themes that goes through every single one of our strategic priorities. We have to be innovative in everything that we do. Yes, we have to teach the courses, the core curriculum, and those sorts of things, but we've got to be innovative, especially in programming as we move ahead. It's going to help us stand out from the pack. We've got to create an experience like no other, an educational experience like no other, so we can continue to keep seeing an increase in enrollment year after year. And how do we do that? Well, I'm going to give you one example. You've heard me talk about it before, but this to me just epitomizes what we can do if we put our mind to it and think in terms of thinking creatively. If you've not been to the new bookstores, I mean, it's right here in Williams Hall called the Roar Store, you ought to go take a look. It's absolutely fabulous. But they had a blank wall down the hall right outside the bookstore. So they did a contest among our students to try to who could come up with something to put on a mural or something to put on that wall, okay? Well, this is Emily Hogue. She's one of our undergraduate students, and she won the contest to make this incredible mural on the wall of the bookstore. Now that's cool enough as it is. I mean, you ought to meet this young lady. She's incredible, and she's very, very talented, obviously. But folks, she's not an art student. She's very artistically talented, clearly. She's an animation student. So when we think of animation, this is the way the way I thought of it when I first started getting exposed to this. It's the old Mickey Mouse things. Well, I got news for you. The animation we're doing here is your mama's idea of what Disney World is. And I know about Disney World. I just got back from there not too long ago. We're going to take this sort of Disney World animation, as important as cartoon drawing, that sort of thing is, and put it on steroids to create what's something known as Augusta University. And it is truly the nexus. It's where art meets tech. And I think that's a wonderful tagline for our animation program to use. It's where we have had historically in this building, as a matter of fact, some of the best quality artistic cultural programming you could possibly want in any community right here. Whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it's dance, whether it's theater, whether it's literature, whether it's social sciences, strong programs here. We need to do a better job of emphasizing those just those programs in and of themselves, but to take advantage of that strong artistic capability we have here and marry it, that legacy institution capabilities, and marry it with the strong technical components, biomedical components that the legacy institution of Georgia Health Science University brings. That's what's going to make us unique. And things like innovation, I'm really, really excited to see. That came from the faculty. That came from the most important people that are here, the faculty, to come up with a very innovative program that's not only going to meet the needs of our students, but set us apart from everybody else. So we're going to be investing in this heavily. Over the next several years, we're hiring 21 new faculty that includes joint appointments, not just in art, but also in cybersecurity and medical illustration. Again, we've got to think outside the proverbial box here and take advantage of stuff that's already here. And we're going to be creating standalone degree programs that will be coming out. We've already got one called Digital and Visual Storytelling. And that's the name of the degree. I thought somebody was joking when they told me that. That shows kind of my thinking. But it has taken off like crazy because it is an opportunity to take the artistic talent we have here and marry it with this thing that's on my hip. That's where the future is. So we're going to be creating free standalone degrees in feature films and TV and marketing and interactive design and the technical animation. Just think about when you get somebody like Emily Hogue and put them together and challenge her and her colleagues, how do we take your knowledge and better enable us to train medical students? How do we take that knowledge and better do data science, data analytics? How do we do cybersecurity differently because of that knowledge that you have? And the flip side is also true. How can we take the great technical stuff that we have and marry it with art and music in ways that none of us have thought about before? That's the future. And that's the opportunity I think we have here to do something very unique and very, very different, just taking advantage of the great strengths we currently already have. So back to where I started, strategic plan. I'm really excited about this one, and I'm excited about this one because it truly is a strategic plan like no other. It's going to take advantage of the things you'd expect us to do, the 5 things you'd expect any university to do, and you'll find in any strategic plan, but it's going to jack it up on steroids by being innovative, by focusing on engagement, and by weaving diversity, equity, inclusion through everything that we do, focused on these 3 pillars, aspirational pillars of 16,000 students by the year 2030, ranked 60th in NIH funding for medical students by the year 2030, and get Carnegie Community Engagement Classification by the year 2026. So what about tomorrow? You've heard about the past a little bit, you've heard about kind of where we are right now. Tomorrow is what I'm really excited about. And that's really a script that we haven't written yet, a script that you all are going to have to help us write. I'm convinced we have an incredibly bright future here. And I'm excited to see how we can take creating a legacy like no other into creating a future like no other, because that's what it's really all about here. And so the future is, folks, what we make it. And together we can have an incredible future. Together we can take the great work that we have already done and take it to places that none of us have ever dreamed about before. And that, to me, is what makes Augusta University a fun place to be and a fun place to be in the future. So thank you all very much for being here. I can't thank you enough for all that you do day in and day out, every single one of you, to make this a university like no other. So thanks very much, and go Jags!